The Nun 2. The Nun 2 is a sequel, of course, to the first Nun. This is a part of the Conjuring Universe. Now, with this Conjuring Universe, you have the Annabelle movies, the Nun movies, and then, of course, the main Conjuring movies.
Yeah, you also have The Curse of La Llorona, which this director Michael Chavez, that was his first film in this series. He also directed The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, the third one.
Yep. I did that. So yeah, he's been a part of this whole Conjuring universe for a minute now. So I don't think I've ever seen the second Conjuring movie, but I've seen the first one and I've seen the third one. I have never seen any of the Annabelle movies, and I didn't see the Nun, the first Nun. So coming into this one, it does have, so I think maybe you need a little bit more context for this one, because it does have some carryover, some characters and things like that from the first Nun film. Like, for instance, Tessa Farmiga is back again. She is Sister Irene. You also have the character of Frenchie, who's in this, who was also in the first film. And basically you have the demon nun who has returned again. This time she's plaguing France, I think they're in. She's kind of plaguing that area. This is set in 1956, and she's committing possessing people, and possessing their bodies and allowing them to kind of kill a bunch of different people in this town of France. And it's up to Sister Irene to stop it. Her and a new person to join the be a nun is Storm Reed's character, who's in this, she plays what's her character name, Deborah, who's here, who joins Sister Irene in trying to stop the evil of what's the demon nun called?
Demon nun is Valak,
the
Defiler.
So you have there who she's trying to stop there. So they're trying to stop it and also save Frenchie, who was the character in the first one as well. This time, the new setting here is you have a boarding school. To my knowledge, in the first film, it was like just an evil castle that they were primarily in.
And in the first one, it was like an abandoned monastery. And it was like in the first one, it was this monastery somewhere in the middle of Romania that was dormant for centuries until World War II happened and the bombs unleashed this evil on it. And all the sisters died and they killed themselves in order to prevent the demon from escaping.
Yeah. And the Frenchie character, that's Maurice here, who's back. So that's kind of the basic setup of this one. And for the most part, I kind of feel like this movie, I'm even with the Conjuring movies, which I guess is, I like the first one quite a bit, wasn't too big of the third one. This is another garden variety, ghost possession, spooky type movie that you'll see probably a lot of. The demon pops up, then you look at the character, then the demon goes away. Demon's going to do some quick kills here and there, show up, stare at you, look kind of creepy, then go away, or something like that's going to happen here. You got to have the person who's possessed. They start doing that, like they got that rigor mortis, they start, twitching and shit. They start looking like Vincent D'Onofrio and Men in Black when he's a cockroach. You gotta
start doing that pop and lock dance.
Yeah, so that all those elements kind of here with this. Rating of Maturity says spoilers for the first Nun, nothing happens. That's kind of sometimes how I feel about a lot of these ghost possession movies.
That's
just like
that's how I feel about a lot of these supernatural like ghost possession movies, because so much of it is just kind of biding time until you get to the third act where shit gets crazy. And that's really how I felt about this movie, except there were some things I liked a little bit more. Like, I only just recently saw the first Nun, and I think it's a very mediocre movie that nothing happens until that third act where shit is hitting the fan. And that's when it really leans into that fun spook house kind of formula that made the Conjuring movies work so well. And for almost an hour and 20 minutes, because this movie is an hour and 50 minutes long, it doesn't really get interesting until the last 30 minutes of the movie. You get, of course, some, cheap scares here and there. You get some incredibly well done set pieces, like that would have been really cool if we didn't see them in the trailer first. Like the entire scene with the magazine stand where you get some cool visual stuff. I thought that was really effective, and I wish I was seeing it for the first time in the movie and not in the trailer.
Mm, yeah. And I do like Tessa Farmiga here. I do like
Mhm,
her. I think she's doing a very good job here. And her kind of facing this demon.
mhm.
And it's funny when, she kind of gets tasked again to do it. And she's like, I ain't doing that shit. I'm like, hell no.
Yeah,
I'm not like, why do I?
she's trying to nope out of there. And it was refreshing to see Tysa Farmiga get to play against type, because so often she kind of gets cast as like the like other, like not a typical teenage girl kind of archetypes, those really annoying teenager archetypes that you see in a lot of horror stuff that she played basically for most of her run on American Horror Story. And getting to see her here and playing this very humanistic and very kind-hearted nun in the face of this unspeakable evil, I thought really worked well and was a real standout of the first movie as well.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, she's a little bit more mature here, and she has taken more of a maturity role because she's kind of mentoring the sister Deborah character, who's played by Storm Reed, who's here. Yeah, so I mean, I kind of really liked her quite a bit. Storm Reed is fine here. I don't think they give her a whole lot to
Mhm.
do, quite a bit. But Storm Reed, you've seen her kind of in other things. She was just in the movie this year, that Missing, that just came out
Mhm.
this year, that I thought she did a good job in. But there's not really much for her to chew on here. You do have kind of some newer additions, like you have a mother daughter who Maurice meets, because he's in Hungary, I think, right? He's
Yeah, he's in France. He's at this like boarding school somewhere in France that he's the handyman at. You have
yeah.
Anna Popplewell, who I couldn't remember where I'd seen her for up until I just Googled her. And yeah, she was Susan in the Chronicles of Narnia movies.
Okay. I've never seen those movies, but okay,
Mhm.
that's good to know. I have never seen those movies, but yeah, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, so you have her, Anna Popplewell, who plays Kate in this. She's the mother. She teaches at the boarding school, and you have her daughter Sophie. And they even try to do something that kind of makes you feel a little sympathy for the daughter. Like she's got bullies and everything like that. This seems kind of unnecessary, really, to include that element
Mhm.
really that much, but yeah, she's got some, bitch girls that go to her school that bully her for some reason there.
I mean,
Uh,
you have a a setting where it involves a school, so you have to have some really bitchy kids there as well.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Like I said, up until really kind of the third act, where kind of things start happening, going off. Yeah, it's just kind of a slow slog to kind of get there.
Mhm.
Again, it's your conventional kind of ghost kind of story
Mhm.
where you'll see stuff move, and the ghost moves things there. Nothing really too exciting, unless you're just a person that, if you're that easily scared, maybe this is for
Mhm.
you.
Yeah,
Um,
there were a couple things, scenes in here that made me that got actually legitimately got me to jump.
mm,
But
uh,
I'm not gonna
oh,
say when.
okay.
but when it does get into that third act where shit hits the fan, the nun is saying, "You know what? Fuck it. I've been bored as hell waiting on this bitch Irene to come to this goddamn school. I'ma fuck with her some more."
Yeah. So, and also when she's trying to figure out, like, how the demon is back, and what's kind of happened. I feel like I don't know how she comes to a lot of the
Mhm.
conclusions she's comes to, Sister Irene, like Tasa from how you say her name?
I think it's Tysa.
Taisa Farmiga. I don't know how she comes to a lot of the conclusions she comes to. It seems like they just kind of just do, like, this is happening because this. It's like I don't know how she kind of got there. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I think in the first one they mentioned that that the reason that she became a nun was because she had some kind of clairvoyance.
Okay, so she's
Is
got
that she's kind of like a medium in training, kind of similar to
Vera Farmiga's character.
yeah, Farmiga's character in the Conjuring movies, which
Okay.
the entire time when I was watching both of these movies, I'm like, seriously, she's not playing younger Lorraine Warren in these movies.
I thought it was like, because I didn't really know much about it, this whole Conjuring, or the Nun kind of franchise. I thought she was like the descendant of Laura and from the Conjuring. I thought it was like, because it would make sense. I mean, they both look very similar. Obviously, you've
Mhm.
seen Tasa Farmiga, if you've seen Vera Farmiga, they look exactly
Mhm.
alike. I mean, of course, they're sisters, so of course, but
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like 30 years apart between them, but yeah, they look basically identical.
yeah. I mean, yeah, she looks like a younger version of her sister. So, yeah. So I was kind of like, huh, I wonder why you didn't play on that. Like she's like a descendant of her or something. That
Mhm.
seems kind
I
of
think
wasted.
they kind of do something with that in this one, kind of, but
Yeah.
even that's kind of a stretch.
Yeah. It seems, yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, it seems like
Mhm.
yeah, maybe they kind of go with something that kind of, because they are looking like the demon, one of the things that the demon is doing in this is looking for an artifact
Mhm.
that it can help it. I don't know exactly. I guess make it more powerful. I guess that's what the demon is like. It's gonna make the demon more powerful.
Mhm.
I assume. So that's what the demon is doing there, and using a human host to help it do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, there's some okay kind of moments here. Like you mentioned the scene where she's kind of looking at the newsstand and the page
Mhm.
flip, like that, that's kind of an okay moment. There's a moment where Doja Cat kind of shows up, and you'll know the scene where I'm talking about. Where that kind of happens, which is kind of good. I
It
was like,
it kind of reminded me of The Conjuring 2 in that they were trying to create this other new horror icon. It just didn't hit as well. Because
yeah,
I think there's something that James Wan understands about making these kinds of movies that is just really lost on a lot of these other people that he brings in to direct a lot of these Conjuring Universe films.
yeah. And usually, I mean, they're pretty much, I guess they keep, because Annabelle has a trilogy. It did 3 movies.
Mhm. And typically the sequels of a lot of these movies have ended up being better than the predecessor because the first Annabelle is nigh unwatchable. It's one of the worst movies I've seen in my entire life. It's one of the
Wow.
worst horror movies. And it makes it even more shocking because Annabelle Creation, which is directed by David Sandberg, is legitimately awesome.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. So I don't know. Sometimes, yeah, you can maybe have a good one of these kind of sequel, horror movies that can be kind of good. I imagine maybe they're going to do a third one because I imagine the budget's not too high for a lot of these spin-off, movies there, and so they'll make its budget back and they'll do a third Nun movie. So yeah, they'll do that. Yeah, like I said, if you maybe are looking for some quick scares, maybe this will interest you, but I don't think you should go to the theater to go see it that
Yeah.
much.
Mhm.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
more of like a stream it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this as well. This is a very fun stream it. I mean, depending on what kind of crowd you get if you see it in a theater, it could be fun. Mine was, the worst. They were like frat guys talking throughout the whole movie. It kind of messed up my experience, but this is a perfect movie to have friends over and have a couple beers and watch.
Mm, yeah. So 2 streamers for the Nun 2.